It's over. This sky is falling. The market's going to zero. Panic sell everything. What is going on, everyone? Jeremy Ritz here. Courage pays better than fear trading. Don't do any of this stuff I just said at the start here. Yes, the markets are down. They are red. They are deep red. We knew that. We knew that we were due for some selling. And yes, it is finally here. I've got some notes for you guys here in this episode 100 of Driven. Yes, thank you for being with me these 100 episodes. But let's just take a look here. The SPX. And this is at the time I'm driving here. So the market still is not closed. So these numbers can get worse. Right? Good. These numbers can get worse. See, that was nice right there. I let that young lady go. But here's what we got so far. Ready? I'm going to read this off for you. SPX negative 141 points. Bitcoin down 3,000. So much for that ripper of a move that it had last week. The Qs down 12.5 points. NVDA down $6.68. Now that could be more. Amazon down $10. Meta 15, Tesla 16, the 10-year yield ripping higher, the VIX is spiking, and gold is up 5,000 points. What in the world is going on? First of all, I'll say this: you gotta love it. You gotta love these days in the market. These are so much fun. And remember, it is our job as traders, as investors, to be objective, to look at the market as information and not freak out like I was saying at the beginning. Oh my gosh, this guy is falling. Ah. No, it's just, all right, what's going on? Let's understand it. And right now, what is happening? We have the return of tariff talks from tariff man himself, Donald Trump. And basically, what is happening right now is the U.S. wants control of Greenland, strategic control. They don't want to do a takeover, nothing like that, but there are strategic cases, benefits, uses for the U.S. to have control of Greenland. Some of them being from a military perspective, some of them being to have access to rare earth materials. We know that was something significant in the tariff battles with China. There are metals that are available in Greenland that can benefit the development of AI, of EVs. And so there is a lot of benefit for the U.S. to have control over Greenland. And because they want this control over Greenland, they don't want to have any opposition in their attempt to claim control of this space. And because there is pushback from European countries, they are not okay with the U.S. assuming control of Greenland. What has come out of it is Trump has said that there's going to be 10% tariffs on 8 European countries. I don't have the list in front of me. And that those tariffs can escalate to 25% on June 1st if this isn't a seamless process for the current administration in the United States in their pursuit of their strategic control of Greenland. So that is what is causing the downwards pressure on the markets today. It's fracturing alliances. We thought that there was an achievement of deals between the EU and the United States last summer into the fall, that this was all put behind us. But as we're seeing, it is not, and now it is back in the forefront as a pressure on the markets to the downside. Now, taking into consideration from a technical perspective, we're up near all-time highs. So the market needs to come down. It has to come down. In fact, it needs to come a lot lower than where it is to reset valuation. So it makes sense to push higher because, to be honest, things are very, very expensive across the board, especially in big tech, which we're going to start to have big tech report here pretty soon with their earnings. But keep that in mind. We can't come lower. So 141 points, that could turn into a lot more. And we actually have an unfilled gap if you're looking at the SPX chart down in the 6,000s area. And I talked about how I do foresee a correction, potentially even a mini bear market, but I wasn't anticipating that starting until mid-February. Not saying that it's here, but again, we have to be ready for all things at all times in the markets. But the first thing we have to look at is historically what has happened with these threats of tariffs in the past. Well, if we go back to last April, really February through April, that's when we had Liberation Day, when all of these tariffs were announced and the markets just took a dump. And that's when we had that fall that took us down, I believe, around 21.7% on the SPX from the all-time highs to the lows. That bottom on April 7th, and we started to tear up the bullish run that we currently are in right now. And what happened, if you go look back at that, whenever Trump announced a 90-day pause on tariffs, you saw a ripper move in the market. And as the administration backed off of tariffs, we saw the market start to rise higher. And so there's the whole concept of the taco trade. Again, me discussing these things is not political at all. I'm just sharing them as information. But the taco trade, meaning Trump always chickens out in terms of the tariffs, meaning that he announces tariffs that are to be implemented, they're not followed through with, and as a result, the stock market goes back up. So will that be the case here, or will there be follow through? That's what we don't know. But also keep in mind what else is lingering out there that we haven't had resolution to. And then there was speculation that we would get a Supreme Court opinion today on the constitutionality of tariffs. We didn't get it, or else I didn't see it. But the Supreme Court is to rule on whether or not these tariffs are legal. So that factors into all of this as well. And so what does that create? It creates a lot of uncertainty for the markets. Something that they thought was put to bed is now back in the forefront. And think of the last time that tariff noise hit the markets. You got to go back to, I believe it was either October 10th or October 17th when Trump announced new tariffs on China. You saw a massive sell down across the board in equities and also in Bitcoin, which it did recover and hit new all-time highs. So really, there's two ways to look at this. That this is just a temporary drop and the dip is going to get bought back up, that this is going to be de-escalated rather quickly, and it's a whole big fat nothing burger. People panic sold for nothing. It's going to reset values here in the short term. Maybe we get another 5% dip and then we rock it up to new all-time highs. Or you could look at this from the perspective of, hey, this might have some more lingering effects than just being a couple weeks and over, especially if the administration does not back off of what they're saying they're going to do, because it could start a whole retaliatory tariff tit-for-tat type approach where it's just back and forth. All right, you're going to tariff me, I'm going to tariff you. But then there's also discussion too that these 8 countries, part of the EU, that what they could do is sell their U.S. bonds. And if that would happen, that would really pressure the United States government, the economy. So there are so many factors that are interdependent here that there's not one clean, easy answer. Basically, everybody needs to play nice and be diplomatic. And if it becomes a pissing contest, pardon my French, no pun intended there, then this thing could go longer and we could see a greater impact, and we could get that bear market that I talked about maybe a little sooner. Maybe this is a start, who knows? But one thing is for sure, it makes it a lot of fun. Like I said on the last episode of Driven, the stock market loves drama. it has clinical anxiety. It needs something to worry about. In order for it to exist, it's gotta stay up late at night thinking, oh, what am I gonna do? Blah, blah, blah. The sky's falling, it's over. But we just look at it like, all right, cool. Market's down 141 points today. Awesome. What are some things that are on sale that I'd like to own in my portfolio? Or what's it a good spot to catch on a bounce for a day trade? Or what has more room to the downside on the short, right? That's what we do. We're calm, we're cool, we're collected. We don't panic. I don't have a picture on my thumbnail of the world exploding behind me. We're going to zero, another Great Depression, none of that nonsense. Because that doesn't help anybody. Just got to stay grounded. And this is the information that we have in front of us. And we will react and respond accordingly and use the information to our advantage. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is episode number 100 of Driven. I appreciate you being here. And no celebration. It is what it is. It's 100 episodes. And I just enjoy doing this. I appreciate you guys watching. Excited tonight. The blueprint starts, the 2026 blueprint. Shout out to all the participants in that. It's going to be a lot of fun. And with that said, in the meantime, in between time, make it a great day. Honor the moment. And as always, be grateful. Take care, everyone.